So what this qualification is going to do, it's going to develop the skills and also the understanding required to act as a genuine agent of change in the community. So you are the change that the community needs, okay? And you're going to do this through a combination of like practical and these theatrical assessments, exactly what Daniel was talking about. And what you're going to be taught is how to manage, coordinate and deliver services, wait for it, to vulnerable individuals and different groups throughout the community. Okay. And look, in Australia, the need for this, for like the committed and skilled community service professionals, which you guys will be in the next year, is ballooning, and that's going due to our aging population. And also we've got other pressing issues at the moment, and that's a high prevalence of mental health problems and also drug abuse. And we're also just seeing now the effects of being in lockdown for the last 2 years due to COVID, and the different impacts that it's had on individuals and obviously on the communities and on families and also immigrants. Okay, so it's huge out there. Okay, it's huge. And there is such a need for compassionate, empathetic people to be there, okay, in this professional capacity. So from my point of view, I just think it's unquestionably just an exciting and growing professional, which it's going to offer you guys stability, career fulfillment, and also just a variety of other job roles, which I'll get into as well. So this is just a bit of an overview, but we will keep discussing your pathways throughout your course when you might come across an area that you really want to work in, and maybe I've had some experience in that area, and I'll talk about me later. But so with the community service employees, you're going to practice across. It's a complete spectrum of human services. So you'll be working in varied capacities, and you could be working with children, youngsters, people with disabilities, refugees, also immigrants and migrants, also the homeless. So that's just a few areas. But the great thing about working in like such a robust industry is the abundance of possibilities and options that are actually out there for you. So the actual community service sector, it actually encompasses thousands of jobs in social services, welfare, counselling, individual support. And there's other areas as well. So you may do your diploma in community services and realise that you've actually have got talents and skills and also passions, say working in as a counsellor, or maybe even going into case management. Okay, so this is like, along this journey, you're also going to get to know a lot about yourself. Okay, yeah, and there are things that are going to come up for you as well during this journey, which will also feel like triggers. And what I do suggest to everybody is to get yourself a journal, just a couple of $1 one, and a small book. And when these triggers come up, because obviously and we'll be going into this more today, later on this afternoon, we're actually talking about triggers and stresses. It's a really good way to identify them and to work on those areas within you. Because remember, when you're out there in the community services, this isn't about you. This is all about your clients you're working with. So some of your job prospects could be just being a community service worker, working as a care manager, team leading, program coordinating, family service coordinating. You could also think about your at-risk youth, or going and working as a child welfare officer. You could do residential care, and that could be in a child protection framework. So it's very, very broad, but there's also other specialized areas that you can go into as well. So I want to get to know a little bit more about you guys before we go into just doing that skills transfer as well. And I also want to have a bit of a chat with you guys like Andrew was saying, about thinking about what kind of areas in the community services that you would like to work in.
Hi, Kylie. Thanks for the effort earlier. Actually, my new name is Valerie. So I'm new to community services, definitely very new to Australia. It's a career change for me. So before I got married, so I have been a full-time mother, but I was in project management in translation.
Hi everyone, I'm Kylie. I'm Michelle. As of now, I'm a baker, full-time baker, a tradie. Back home in the Philippines, I'm a major in psychology graduate, but unfortunately, when I come here, I wasn't able to practice it or anything. So,
hi Kylie, hi everyone. My name is Amir. I've been in the hospitality industry for many years now, and I've been involved with the charities, mainly cooking for homeless people in the past.
Hi. Well, I was kind of thrown into the disability sector when my daughter went into cardiac arrest at 2 weeks old. We found out that she's got multiple complex medical history now. She is disabled.
Okay, we off? Okay, how are you going? All right. As you can see, I'm very, very good with my computer and my new laptop. Everything's working really well. I'm getting involved in community services, just in a non-embarrassing way. Basically, 12 months ago, I was living rough for about 14 months on the streets of Perth, back of the TAFE, library, anyway, so on and so on.
Hi, it's actually Alexandra. I checked this morning, I was a girl, not Alexandra. I've got a mixture between Jasmine's story and was it Darren? Darren's story. I have a disabled son who's 25 years old. It does get easier, Jasmine, I can guarantee you it gets easier.
Hi, Carly. Hi, everyone. For me, I've been working in the aged care for the past 10 years. And I've joined to do disability because I love working with people, and I'm looking to work I like looking after children and working with homeless people.
Hi, everybody. I don't really, excuse me, I'm just coming off the back of a cold. I lost my voice for 3 days. I'm only just getting it back.
I originally came from a domestic violence homeless situation, decided I didn't want to live like that anymore, got a job in government and used to get seconded from state government to federal.
Hey guys, so community services is something that I've wanted to do since I was in residential care.
Yes. Hi everybody. So yes, I'm interested in doing the course in February, and I've been a naturopath and acupuncturist for 17 years actually.
Well, just while we're just waiting for Mary for a minute, look, what I do want to say to you guys that, look, you have chosen this career in community services, okay? So what your actions are going to do, they are going to give hope for a better and brighter future to other people. So you guys need to be ready to transform your passion for serving the community into a fully fledged career. Can everybody see the PowerPoint presentation? Yep. Okay, awesome. Yep. Okay, so I'm actually just going to flick down to, I just want to have you guys been sent your timetables yet? Yeah, it'll look something like this. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I've got mine.
Yeah. So remember, today is just your induction day for obviously your induction in the morning, your 006 and your PRP 003, which is manage personal stresses in the work environment and also reflect on and improve own professional practice. So we're not going to be too worried about having a look at those questions today. Okay, because as you can see on the 8th, which is, next week, is our theory. You don't have TDLs. And then the week after, what we do is we'll go through our case studies together, okay, as a class and pick them apart and work through those case studies together. And then the 3rd week is always going to be your practical activity, okay? Now, What I don't want you guys to get or do is the first 2 units are probably the easiest units out of all of them. Okay, and the practical activities are fairly straightforward. As I think it was Daniel said, these practical activities can be quite big and quite lengthy, but what you'll gain from doing them correctly and delivering them is obviously is knowledge, okay, and the experience, and also to have that confidence when you are working out there in a community service environment, because there's nothing worse. I don't know about you guys, if you've ever done a course or a certificate and been deemed satisfactory or competent, and then thinking when you've gone to apply for jobs, thinking, oh, I don't really have the confidence in that to apply for that job. Okay. Does that make any sense to everybody? Yeah, I do have my standards are to a diploma. Okay. So no slacking off anyone. Okay.
Well, so saying that, Kylie, does that form part of, it's just when it says practical on, say, the 22nd of November, is that just like a role play practice for the assessment, or is it in place of the, like, how does that work? What is?
Okay, so there's 3 areas. I'll just show you.
Yeah, got the theory, case study, and practical. Yeah.
Yep. And then depends on what the practical activity is asking. So for the practical for manage personal stresses in the work environment, I'm pretty sure it's just you guys putting together a wellness plan and me talking through 2 different case studies with you and how you would incorporate your wellness plan into those scenarios. Yeah. Okay, they're just difficult situations. So that one, you manage legal and ethical compliance. That's quite different. That's doing a delivery of a PowerPoint presentation. So hypothetically, you are actually you work for an organisation called the Leaf Group, and you are compliance specialist. So managed legal and ethical compliance is all about obviously being compliant with your work health and safety or your policies and procedures, and delivering to me a PowerPoint slide as if I'm your client. So each unit is different. Some of them do have role plays. Your assess coexisting needs as a role play, recognize and respond to crisis situation and role plays. And some of them are just deliveries in, as I said, in PowerPoint presentations. So each one, will be different. But I'll give you a very good overview of each practical assessment and what is required. I've also done up quite a few templates, especially for develop workplace communication strategies. And in that one, and actually I'll tell you now, if you guys can think about an organization or a name of an organization, if you were to open up your own organization within the community service sector, start thinking what you would call it. And also, would it be like a homeless organization? Would it be disabilities? Would it be domestic violence? Because in a couple of these practicals, say develop workplace communication strategies, you will be putting on an event in the community. Not really, but pretending, and it's all about communicating your event to the community and having people come to it. Okay, and thinking about other organisations that you could start to work with in a specialist form as well. And I guess the more that I can set the scene for you guys, the easier. Hopefully you guys have got a great imagination. I hope so. Okay, because you need a really good imagination with community services, and you really need those critical thinking skills. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I work off 2 screens. I can see you guys all down here and my PowerPoint's up top here. So, and that's the naughty dog in the background. Okay, so first unit, HLTWHS 006, which is manage personal stresses in the work environment. Very important unit. Can anyone just give me a thumbs up? Who's actually been in a situation where you've actually had a lot of stress in your work environment? Only one, just me and Vicky? That must be that training world. Darren? Okay, Amir, I'm sure we all have. You just may not have actually recognised it. Okay, so our housekeeping, mobile phones, look, if you guys need to take a call, I don't have a problem. Just remember that we are on Zoom and everything is recorded for quality assurance purposes. Okay, so remember to press that mute button, and when you're on your lunch break, press that mute button as well. Okay, and also turn your cameras off, but I will remind you each time. Breaks, we'll generally have a morning tea break, lunch break, afternoon tea break. Always respecting, and anything that's spoken about in here in the classroom remains confidential. Okay, if anybody needs to talk to me on a private note, we can go into our own breakout room where nobody can hear us as well. Okay, the health and safety, physical, mental and emotional well-being is what is in uttermost important to all of us. Remember, we all have a duty of care to each other, and I have a duty of care which overrules all your duty of cares. Okay, so if anyone's needs to, obviously, again, just reinstating that, needs to speak to me, send me an email, put it in the private chat, and I will be here to talk to you. Okay, sharing. So let's discuss what we're sharing. And this is just about sharing, okay? So we'll be discussing a lot of things. Obviously, things are going to come up, as I spoke to you guys before. We will be triggered. I often, as much as I've been running these courses or working for TrainSmart for the last 2 years, but as a trainer and assessor for 9, I still find things come up, and I'm a little bit think, oh, where did that come from? Okay, so you may find that yourself will get triggered. As I said, keep a journal. Okay, journals are great also for reflecting back on as well. Just notice when you get these little niggles that come up. Okay, it's interesting what, you know, hides down in our little shadows. And always be aware of the safety of the people in the group. Okay. So our learning objectives for this unit, HLTWHS 006, is developing strategies to manage personal stress, implementing stress management strategies, and evaluating stress and reducing strategies. Okay, I'm just doing a little overview, a bit of a teaser today, or a taster teaser of both these units, because this is a part of today's induction. Okay. From what Daniel went through, yep, there's the summative assessment 1, that's all your knowledge questions. Your assessment 2 is case studies, and that's what we'll do every second week. So it'll be theory, case studies, practical. As you said, if you miss the theory, everything will be up there and uploaded for you to go back and watch the recording. Okay, so let's first have a look at work-related stress and the major impacts they can have on our own health and safety. So we get work, us workers, I'm just going to call us workers. Yeah, we all experience stress when the demands of our work exceed our ability or resources to cope. And this can be in the shape of meeting our deadlines. Okay, so our work is or our line managers and bosses are constantly giving us deadlines that we need to meet, and also immovable or when a worker receives limited support from your co-workers and managers. And now, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but quite often when you do go into a new work environment, everything can look very nice from the outside, and then after you've been there for a little while, you may start to see some toxicity in the workplace. You may see that there's actually 2 lots of workers in the one workplace. There's them and then there's us. Okay, so just being aware of that. I know I've had, I've worked in a very toxic environment, and I'm not going to tell you about it, but for my own mental health, I was better off resigning from that job than trying to battle and uphill something that I wasn't going to win anyway. Okay, so always putting our mental health first. So in the workplace, you guys can experience physical, mental, and also emotional reactions to your work environment. And your response to stresses at work may be positive, or they may also be negative for your own well-being. But as you all know as well, when you do go and work in a new workplace, you usually adjust to changes in your organization's work demands, and you also continue to perform throughout, just doing your normal duties as well. But also what you might find within your workplace is that you're only going to be performing those duties you actually feel comfortable with, because you don't feel that you can actually go to your management or any of your work colleagues to go and get that other assistance. So that can also add to that emotional stress that you'll get in the workplace. So also know that stress, it's not an injury, but if it becomes excessive and long lasting, it can also lead to mental and physical health. So just understanding that stress, it's commonly described as a feeling of overload, or where you're wound up. You can be tight, tense, and also just having that, that chronically being worried all the time. And according to the Australian Psychology Society, they say that there are 3 different types of stress. Does anybody know what these 3 different types of stress are, or what they're called? Who's ever heard of chronic stress?
Yeah.
Yep, you've heard of chronic stress. What about acute stress?
Yep.
Okay. So we've got acute stress, chronic stress, and we've also got what we call episodic acute stress. Now, acute stress, and here's this worth taking notes, okay, here. So acute stress, that's a disorder. It's a psychological condition, and it's caused by experience a traumatic event. So it could be that you have seen a car accident. It could be that your dog got run over, or a neighbour's dog that you're looking after. It just is a traumatic event, okay? So it might have happened to you, but it could also, it may not have happened to you as well, you just witnessed to it. And it can also, through, witnessing someone with a close family or friend member as well. But they also say that people who do witness a traumatic event during their lives are more likely to fall ill within a 12 months period. Okay, so it's really important that if you recognise any of these stresses, that it is actually dealt with. So your episodic stress, so that's when acute stress is experienced more than once, or what they call it in episodes. So most people do experience some stress at some point in their lives, but for some people, stress is occasional and short-lived. But for others, stress is regular. Well, it's a regular occurrence, and it can be pretty debilitating. So that sort of stress is what they call episodic acute stress. And unfortunately, it can affect anyone, but it also tends to affect people who are under pressure a lot more. And that would be like people juggling work and also those family responsibilities. And it can also include students preparing for exams. And that's the great thing about the course that we're doing, because it's competency-based, there is no exams, okay? So you guys can't come to me and tell me that you're stressed over your exams, okay? Okay, so your chronic stress then, so that refers to a systematic reaction that happens in the body, is caused by both when your body has negative internal and negative external factors. And it tends to occur over an extended period of time. Who here, I know I did ask you about feeling stress at work, but what do you think the What do you think the biggest stress factors are in life?
Work, family interactions.
Yeah.
Money. Always money.
Money's a big one, especially with the way that inflation's going at the moment, and the rise of the costs of living is just exponentially rising.
Yeah, relationships. So personal relationships, work relationships.
You've also got marriage in there, divorce. Sorry, what did you say, Jasmine?
Sorry, my stress mainly combines into just health. Just, you know, dealing with health and dealing with kids. They're both quite stressful.
I can imagine, because it's 24/7 for you. How do you guys know if you're stressed?
I can't sleep.
Okay, so you end up with insomnia. Ashley?
Oh, I said fatigue, yeah.
Fatigue. Jasmine?
Normally I realize that I start to get a short fuse, or I might suffer from migraines. I tend to get over emotional, but I do have anxiety. So, you know, that all plays into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they both cross over. Alexandra?
Depression, insomnia, anxiety, and just feeling totally overwhelmed. Right? You set yourself a few tasks to do the day, and you look at it and you just can't do it. You sit down on the floor and cry instead. You know, it's just too much. It can be the smallest trigger, but I mean, we're all dealing with something at some point. Grief is also a really, because that grief is different for everybody, and it's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I don't really think that we place enough emphasis on listening to our body when we're stressed and actually putting in those strategies. Okay. And it's so important. So this is what we're going to focus on the next few weeks. Okay. So some strategies to identify these stress triggers. So we know that stress affects everyone in different ways. And our triggers are going to be very much dependent on the challenges that we're facing on an individual level. So just remember that it's important to identify any potential triggers as a first step in overcoming your feelings of stress and anxiety, so you can work out a management plan for what's right with you. And this management plan, if anyone's had a look through their LearnSmart, or what we used to call Moodle, that is what you're doing. I think I said to you before, you're doing a stress management plan for yourselves. And what I would suggest you do is print it off, try and print it off, and then just have it stuck up here on your wall. And then you can always add to it over the course of the year. You'll find out a lot about yourself, and then you've implemented this plan, how you're going to actually be able to manage these triggers when and if they do arise. So if you're feeling stressed, the causes and your triggers, they're going to most likely be different. Yeah, which means everybody's going to have a unique approach to how you're going to be treating your stresses. So a great way is a self-reflective journal, which I've already asked you guys to go and buy, a couple of bucks that came up. Good one is debriefing with a colleague, friend, or therapist. Obviously, it's going to be somebody that you do trust. Attending supervision sessions. Keep a stress diary to document times when you become stressed in a day. And also, after becoming stressed, you can work backwards to identify the trigger, determine when you started to feel stressed. So it could be something as small as when a certain person came to work, okay, and you hadn't realized it before. I'm just using this as an example. That was the time of day, or that was when you started to feel your heart beating faster and started to feel a bit stressed, and you'd never actually connected those before. Does anyone else want to give me a time or anything when they have actually worked backwards and identified that trigger? You're on mute, Alexandra.
I did a lot of that with family issues from my childhood. Certain things would set me off, and it took a long time for me to accept that A, there was a problem, and then B, how to figure out how to intercept before that happens again.
And it is, I understand.
Really confronting.
It is very confronting. And the older you get, the better you get at it. But first of all, you have to start to identify it. And yeah, your journaling and also, yeah, writing all this down is a really
stress. We all know what it is.
So the potential areas that we've identified, like as stresses in the workplace, is going to be lack of resources, lack of support, lack of training and time. We all know what these mean. But we've also, a big one's organisational culture. Who's worked in an organisation before and it's got a really toxic culture? I wouldn't talk to anyone in my work environment, not that I don't trust them, but I would just prefer, that's just me. I like to keep things separate. I would always go to an external provider. Your EAP, which is an employee assisted program. Now, most organisations do have one in place. And it's also a great way to be able to see and speak to somebody on short notice. And the EAP program is also extended to your own family as well. So it just takes the hassle out of going to the doctors, getting referral, or speaking to your doctor and waiting for that appointment. But I know just from talking to other students, people are waiting up to 7 to 10 days to see an EAP or get into an employee assisted program. So it's telling me there's a lot going on out there in the work environment. Counsellors or social workers. Now I know in Perth there's a massive long wait list to actually go and see a counsellor or a social worker. Your debriefing sessions are great. And one of our units, just CHC42015, debriefing the workplace. We go into that extensively, obviously because it's a whole unit. And yeah, your external, your GPs, your community health centres, psychologists and counselling. Relaxation. So for your immediate hit for external is going to be something around nature. And, you know, trying to find a nice relaxation class, maybe doing a guided meditation. And also Lifeline are fantastic. And their number is 133-144, I think. But even going to bed at night, there's some beautiful guided meditations that you can do, and also listening to that different frequency in the music. When I go to bed and listen to different frequency in the music, I try and find one that's only an hour's long. Some of them will just go for about 6 or 7 hours. So either you've got to wait for your battery to die, or you've got to get someone to come in after an hour and ask them to turn it off. And I quite enjoy those deep, those guided meditations. I'm usually asleep within 5 minutes. If I can't get to sleep, I find they really help. But we will just this one, yeah, to-do list. So how are you going to prioritize? Writing down your list, but as Alexandra says, maybe not put too much on that list, break it up over the week, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed. Allocate priorities and timing to tasks. Include travel or preparation time as collected as required. And I also put in there, if I'm traveling somewhere or it's a new place I've never been to before, I give myself an extra half an hour to get lost. Okay, so then that just takes out that stress. But yeah, schedule the most challenging task for the first time of the day when energy levels are at your highest, but you might find that your energy levels are at your highest at the end of the day or at night. Everybody's different. And just quickly here, our Fair Work Act, which I just wanted to, has everybody here heard of the Fair Work Act 2009? Yeah? Verity? Yeah. Okay. So what the Fair Work Act is, it's a piece of legislation, actually, it's a key piece of legislation, and it regulates employment and workplace relations. So it also describes the terms and conditions of your employment, and it also sets out the rights and responsibilities of your employers, and also the organisation in relationship to your employment. If you have never looked at it, it's a very valuable piece of legislation that you should at least understand a little bit. And in there is stress management solutions in fair work, flexible working arrangements, leave entitlements, and also your time in lieu. Okay, do you guys want to have a 5-minute stretch? Yeah, just go and stretch your legs, go and grab a glass of water. And then we're going to do our exciting personality quiz and just have a quick overrun of a few slides just of what reflective practices are. Okay, well, there's a really good tip. And during this course, well, you know, everybody's, as I said, got something to bring to the table. So if any of these like handy little, you know, hints to help people, yeah, please don't be afraid to share with everybody else. Okay, so second part, CHC, unit code is CHC42015. Reflect on and improve on own professional practices. Oh, we're up here. Okay, so here we are. Guy we've got here thinking. So what is the meaning of reflective practice? Okay, so when we talk about reflective practices, it's thinking about what your experiences are and making an effort to learn and improve on them. So it is a really important habit that you can be developed for career advancement, but we can also obviously use it within our own personal space as well. So in a professional space, you need to focus on, you can add this to your skills, but you also need to rectify past mistakes and also see about making those necessary changes to your existing skill set or other ways of working. So an example of this would be, so say you missed a few deadlines on a critical project. You just obviously need to organise yourself better and make sure that it doesn't happen in the future or with future projects. So your reflective practice, that also in a work, so we're going to bring it back to work, it also helps the productivity of your team that you're a part of, and also helps you to work collaboratively with other team members, and also that means being interdependent. So when we're reflecting on our own professional practice, what we're doing is we're reviewing our mistakes and rectifying them. Okay, so it's also helping you to be a more reliable team member. So hopefully, does everyone learn from their mistakes? I think mistakes are great. I love mistakes. How else are you going to learn? Okay, so we went over the housekeeping before in 006, and the learning objectives to this reflective practice is reflect on own practice, enhance own practice, and also then to facilitate ongoing professional development. Now, with this practical assessment, it is actually it's actually having a group discussion. So this is a really nice, easy one. There's nothing to hand in. There's no role plays to do. Yeah, it's just a group discussion and reflecting on what the personality quiz comes back and says about you. Okay, so I explained to you a little bit about what reflective practice is. Yeah, undertaking a self-evaluation with peers and supervisor, also challenging your own beliefs and values. Now, when we do start doing this and getting more into the nuts and bolts of this, we are going to be having a look at our beliefs and our values. Okay, improve on your own personal and professional development, and a part of your assessment 3 in this is finding areas and organisations and improving on your own professional development. Where could you go? And it's just a matter of putting in links and finding out who these organisations are. Practicing with awareness, research and evaluating your best practice, identifying your own limitations, identifying your strengths. And part of the 3 or the assessment 3 that you do is that you do a SWOT analysis. So that would be having a look at identifying what your strengths are. That's the S. What your weaknesses are. That's the W. The O is what opportunities are out there for you. And T is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and I've forgotten what number the T is.
Threats.
What is it?
Threats.
Threats. Thank you very much. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and threats. So you this will all be about yourself. So it's a really interesting exercise, actually. So what may happen if we are not aware? So what do you think happens if we're not aware of what's going on around us?
We lose the plot.
Yeah, we do lose the plot. Yeah, okay. Okay.
We're unaware, we don't really, if you're not constantly looking at those things or looking at, you know, different beliefs or the same way of doing things, you keep repeating the same mistakes, or you're not really learning and growing as you go. And also, you know, it can hinder your development, but then also impacts on a lot of people around you. So the more that you can grow and develop and have more awareness, it's, you know, benefits yourself and everybody around you.
Absolutely. And then what can that grow into if it's not, if you don't stop and think and have a look at, if you're not aware of what's going on around you?
And you become, you know, very oblivious. Other people are not going to be too, well, it's probably more negatively respond to you if you're not, you know, being a little bit more open and be willing to be aware and be willing to look at other perspectives or things, or it's a very stagnant type of approach.
It is, and that's how that toxic environment can come around as well.
And you miss cues. Everybody has certain cues about, you know, even facial expressions. They don't feel good today, and if you're not responding to people when they're giving you cues because you're not paying attention, then misunderstandings, upset, and all that sort of things can explode.
Absolutely. And what about, and then you're also working with your clients, and then they start to disengage as well. So all of that work or all those steps forward that you've made now can suddenly be all taken away from you as well. So it's yeah, it's really important that you do that you are aware of what's going around you, obviously. And also your job performance, that can also start to decline. Okay, so you may not be getting those positive outcomes that you were once getting either. We might leave the YouTube clip until, because we've got a whole day on this, okay? And I know it's getting late for everyone. So yeah, allowing our values, beliefs and behaviours to affect your work can have consequences, and they include, yeah, clients disengaging, creating that toxic work environment, offensive behaviour, and that could also be your, I think as Alexandra was saying, you know, regarding your body language as well. Creating tension, conflict with co-workers, supervisor and individuals we support, and yeah, that decline your job performance. And then also allowing our values and beliefs to get in the way of working in a supportive manner and with an open mind. So what do you think the benefits are of reflective practice then for yourself and your work environment?
Self-awareness and awareness of the environment.
Yeah, and with that self-awareness in an environment, what's that going to give you as a worker as well?
An edge.
Yeah, an edge or some confidence as well. Yeah. Yep. And when we are connected, what does that also encourage?
Communication.
Trust.
What was that?
Trust.
Trust, yeah. But we'll also start to be more creative, innovative, And also, we just engage much better with other people, don't we? Impose it, yeah, benefits of reflective practice. Avoid imposing your values and beliefs on others. That's a big one, especially in the community service work, especially when you're working with obviously different cultures as well. Checking in with yourself about what is going on for you. Avoid reactive responses, being mindful of your behavior in the workplace. Responding to feedback with growth. Always a good one. Aids your confidence as a worker, gets better outcomes for yourself and your clients, encourages innovation and engagement, and also the awareness of your self-care needs. Okay. So what we're going to finish off today is with 16 personalities. Hopefully I can copy this. So before we shut down or close out this meeting or induction day, does anybody have any questions? Oh, I'll give you my email address. Okay, so I'll just put my email address into the chat. Okay, Summer and Angela got their hands up.
So I know when I enrolled, they mentioned we there was engagement in the one for those working 20 hours a week. Going ahead.
I missed all of that. You broke up.
Oh, sorry. So when I enrolled that, so Tuesdays was going to be, you know, compulsory, and then Wednesdays were going to be optional for those working under 20 hours a week. Is that still something that's happening?
Wow.
It's interesting, Summer, because when I had my first consultation phone call, there's 3 Tuesdays that I can't make between now and Christmas because I'm booked for training myself. And I was told that if I had to miss a Tuesday, I could pick it up on the Wednesday. Now, I spoke to TSA yesterday and that's not the case. So I'll just have to watch a video or the recording of any of the classes that I'm going to miss, I believe. That's only for me for this year, though. Next year, I can schedule my Tuesdays free.
Yeah, they must have been talking about it at one stage to do Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, Tuesday, Wednesdays. I think I know why they probably haven't scheduled them 2 days a week because the classes aren't big enough. Okay, and so it will take a trainer out for the whole day. I'm just assuming this, okay? Take a trainer out for the whole day or half a day on the Wednesday, maybe 1 or 2 students who turn up.
Okay.
So maybe that was their idea initially. I'm just having a look at the timetable and it is just, Tuesday weekly classes.
I know.
Angela?
So sorry, I hope this isn't because I didn't realize today, I thought it was just a preview. I didn't realize it was already starting the course, but I was just wondering because there's a Diploma of Community Services. This is the caseworker one, is it? And then there's a regular Diploma of Community Services.
So what it is, and this is how they run their classes, is Diploma of Community Services and Case Management are all linked together. The only difference is that there's 3 units. So the class will split off into 2 different areas when those units come up. And I think it might be next year at some point. Yeah, so you guys will want to, whoever's doing case management will stay with me and who's doing counselling will go to another trainer, and then you'll all reconvene after you've all done your those 3 units.
Oh, okay, so this is the November intake, this group, and then there'll be a February, which is what I'll be in then.
Is there I don't know if there's a yeah, I don't get told any of that.
Okay.
It's like, here's your class, you know, just do your thing.
But most of the assessments, it looks like it's going to be more practical, like interactive, practical, in person. Okay.
Yeah. The majority of them, yeah, they are all except for PRP 003 and POL 001, which is writing 2 essays.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for today.
That's okay, Angela. Yeah, hopefully maybe see you next year. If not, have a great Christmas and take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
I can't just see find my results, but I can tell you what I think myself.
Okay, what do you think you are, Alexandra?
I'm probably an advocate, I'd say, more than anything else.
It's you and Maggie. I don't think you're here with most people in this group are mediators. So we've got a nice balance here, actually. A couple of protagonists, a couple of campaigners. Jasmine, where are you?
I'm here.
Hi. Oh, there you are, up in the top corner. Console. And Maggie's the only, I know, 2 advocates now. Yep. Cool. The timetable will be sent out to you if it hasn't already, but I will make a note and email Shaw to send out the timetable. It should have been okay.
I was just wondering, was there anything in particular that you wanted us to get done before next week? I was going to read all the learning content and maybe get started on some of the questions for the assessment. But is there anything in particular you wanted us to do before next week?
No, nothing. So yeah, go through your learner guides, have a read. I would like that. As Daniel said, just even if you skim read it, just have a look for that. You're looking at that terminology, getting familiar with some of these words you may have not heard before. And also it's really good to come to class, see, having gone over those questions. Okay, so when I am delivering the theory, you can start making your notes as well next to those questions.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay. Jasmine and Alex, you got number 1s in your corner. I don't know what they mean. But it's more of an FYI for me, and I didn't really take much notice of it, to be quite honest. But again, send Rick that email.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can.
I will send them again. Yeah, no, not a problem.
I don't even know who sent it to me. Oh. So I'm not, so Jane, where's Jane? Jane, is your email jane.cm@hotmail.com?
It's jane.c.m@hotmail.com.
Okay.
Dot.
.m. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, Maggie. Okay, well, look, if you guys have got any questions, please put them in an email to me. It was really nice to meet you all today. Oh, the timetable was emailed out yesterday. Someone just said. Jane?
Yeah, I received mine with a second email. Yeah, so did I.
Okay, if you guys have received it, they would have been sent out from another system, which is everyone's in the class, and it goes out, would have gone out together. So please check your emails. If you can't find it, email me and I will email Shaw.
Kylie, sorry, what's your email?
kangelhart at tsa.edu.au. It's just up there in the chat.
I can see it in the chat.
So Carly, just a quick question to confirm, as Jasmine raised a very good question earlier. So nothing for us to prepare before we see you next Tuesday?
Well, yeah, just go over your learner guides. Okay, just for go over your learner guide for at least the first one, because the second one will relate to the second part.
So you mean the first unit?
Yeah, no, because on the Moodle, I think there's 3 different learner guides, I think.
Yeah, it's broken up into 3 sections.
Yeah, so at least read the first section of those learner guides. If you can read all three, fabulous. But if you can only get through the first one, just read that. Familiarize yourself with the terminology. Think about some strategies. Do some self-reflection work on yourself by a journal. Start to jot down things that maybe you get triggered, and then we can start to put in, or you guys will start to put in strategies as well.
Thank you.
That's okay. And have a look at the questions. Familiarize yourself with those questions. Okay. It'll make it easier if I'm starting to talk about something. You go, oh yeah, I know that's in question 5, and you can just jot down your notes. And then what you'll basically do throughout that class, a bit of luck, is what we call scaffolding. So you will take your notes, and then you'll go away, and so you take your notes, and that's your scaffold, and then you'll build on those notes to give me a decent answer, okay? And not a monosyllabic answer, which means with one syllable, one word. Yeah, remember, this is a diploma. I don't want 3 words, at least 5. No, and they need to be properly sentence structured, okay, you guys? We'll send them back to information required. But if I can see that you've actually made a decent effort, I will put back decent feedback. But if there's no effort being made, I won't be sending you to the correct place to find the other information if you're just missing a little bit from the answer. Okay, sometimes I'll lead examples. So the amount of work and feedback I will put in will also be in conjunction or correspondence with that I can see that you've actually done the work, but you've just missed the question. Some of these questions can be quite ambiguous, okay, and some of these questions, one question, and there will be 3 parts throughout that question. Okay, you show me that you're doing the work, I will help you as well.
Scary.
Not really. I'm gentle. I'm gentle. Jane, you have a question? Oh no, you're giving me a thumbs up. Thank you. Jasmine, do you have a question?
No.
No.
Thank you for today, Kylie, and we'll see you next week.
That's okay. You guys take care. Have a fabulous weekend. Email me if you need me, and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you, Kylie. See you
Thanks.
next week. Bye.